A really important thing to understand is that your brain and nervous system want you to keep feeling sick. It sounds crazy. It sounds counterintuitive, very hard to believe, but it's absolutely true. It did this to you. It is the puppet master that is pulling all of the strings because this situation that you're in, it didn't happen by accident. You are feeling the way you feel, feeling these very real symptoms on purpose. And if you still have them and continue to have them, it's because your brain and nervous system want you to have them. And if you don't do something to intervene, they will likely stick around forever. When nervous system dysregulation is at the core of what's causing your symptoms, and if you're still not sure, pause this video, watch the one that's linked above. It walks you through an assessment to help you determine if this might be the case for you. But when you know or strongly suspect that this is the case, understanding your body's default settings, understanding what it's going to do, what your brain and nervous system are going to do if you don't intervene is vital for getting past these conditions. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what these default settings are, why they're set in this perplexing way, and then what you can do to override those settings so that you can get your symptoms to stop and feel better. The key thing here is understanding your default settings around change, because changing your health, changing how you feel requires change. I mean, changing anything in your life obviously requires change. And in the somewhere around now 225 recovery interviews I've done and counting, not a single person has told me that they got past this without changing something. No one just waited it out and they're like, yeah, I just waited and then it was gone. Amazing. So understanding your brain and nervous system's default settings specifically around change is what's going to be a game changer for you in navigating and speeding up your recovery process. So here's the part where your brain and nervous system can sometimes work against you, because making any type of change requires leaving your comfort zone. And that's whether the change is good or bad. It always involves leaving your comfort zone. And most of us think we know what that means, or we understand what that process is. We think, well, yeah, it's our nice, comfy place. Why wouldn't we want to leave it? So the first important thing to understand about this is that your brain, when left on its own, when left on autopilot, will choose that comfort zone every single time. If you don't interrupt that pattern, if you don't consciously intervene, you're going to go for what's comfortable 100% of the time. But here's the insight that changes everything. Whether that comfort zone is good or bad for us, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, our brain chooses that comfort zone every single time. Even when that comfort zone is bad, we know it's a bad choice. We know it's not good for us. On autopilot, our brain will choose that bad comfort zone every single time. So why? Why on earth would our brain choose something that it knows is bad for us? The key to understanding this is understanding exactly what our comfort zone is and what makes it our comfort zone. So it is something that is convenient, it is familiar, and it is predictable. And our brain and nervous system will pick convenient, familiar, and predictable every single time. For us, we're calling it our comfort zone, but our brain and nervous system are calling this our safety zone. Because guess what? Even though every time you choose this bad thing, this whole history you have of maybe dozens or hundreds or thousands of times making this choice for the unhealthy thing in your life, for the bad thing in your life, every single time you made that decision, you made that choice, you survived. And your brain and nervous system prioritize alive over absolutely everything else. So you make that choice once again for that bad thing, and it is patting itself on the back. It is throwing a party. All of its nervous system friends are congratulating it and giving it awards. It is doing its job so incredibly well. It's keeping you alive again and again and again and again because it can predict it. It knows the outcome. So this is the optimal choice. But if you want to do more than simply survive, then you need to interrupt that pattern and make different choices. And you need to remember that your nervous system doesn't care about you thriving. It doesn't. It doesn't even care about you being happy. It doesn't want you to be unhappy. It's just indifferent to it. Happiness doesn't matter. Thriving doesn't matter. Living your best life doesn't matter. Surviving matters. Period. So you right now, you loaded up with symptoms and miserable and suffering. This is your nervous system keeping you in the safety zone. It doesn't want to change a thing. You are alive. It is so proud of the job it's doing with you right now. I know. So when we stay in our comfort zone, we don't have to process any new information, and it offers us a feeling of control, and we know how it will end. We don't have to make any predictions on the outcome. If we can predict our environment, we increase our chances of survival. So we are wired for predictability. And your brain and nervous system code all sorts of things as threats, more than you could possibly imagine. Some of them are very real threats. Some of them are miscommunications. I recently read a study about someone, or they did two groups, and they put, one of them got a harmless leaf rubbed on them and told it was poison ivy, and then the other one got actual poison ivy, but told them it was a completely harmless plant. And those with the fake poison ivy, all but two of them got symptoms from it, and those with the real poison ivy but told it was harmless, not a single one of them got symptoms. So your brain and nervous system are taking in all these different sources of information from what you see, you think, you hear from your past experiences. And it can even code really strong, scary emotions that you're not letting yourself feel, that you're pushing down for whatever reason, as a threat as real as a person chasing you down with a gun. And it's taking in all of this, and it uses what it has at its disposal to keep you safe, which is symptoms. It's cognitive symptoms, it's anxiety, it's fear, it's physical symptoms. Every physical symptom in the body is something that your brain can and does create as a danger signal, as a way to keep you safe. And until you tell it otherwise, until you make different choices, it's going to keep doing that, because that's what's keeping you alive. So if you're aiming for more in your life than simply not dying, you need to learn how to take control. So how do you bypass or hack or interrupt this system where its default setting is for you to stay stuck exactly where you are and keep choosing the bad and the suffering over and over and over? If you're facing chronic fatigue syndrome or long COVID, this means that you're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to do things differently. This might be going a different path than what the conventional medical system is telling you to do, because many of the doctors there aren't actually caught up on the latest research in science around neuroplasticity and the brain and nervous system's role in creating symptoms and brain retraining and nervous system regulation. You're going to have to let go of what's comfortable, of what's known, of what's predictable, and you're going to have to reach for something else and embrace that unknown and be okay with that. You're going to have to interrupt that automation in your brain that's like, nope, stick with what you know, stick with what you know. Be like, I see what you're doing. I understand this is your default setting. I know you're going to make it uncomfortable for me to make a different choice, to step out of that, because you're trying to keep me alive. That path keeps me alive. I need to do more than just live. So let me just endure and understand that this discomfort is happening, and it's not quite my happy place to be, but it's a necessary step to move towards new choices and making changes that can help me to thrive and be happy and not be feeling these horrible symptoms every day just to survive. And there's 3 distinct steps to doing this. The first is just understanding how this all works, just educating yourself on your brain's default settings, which you've just done in this video. So check that box, you're ready to move on. The second thing is to interrupt those automations in the brain, because they are like computer programming. When X happens, trigger Y every single time. And it happens in our unconscious brain. So we need to pull that into consciousness, kind of get in the driver's seat and start actively making those decisions. It's like being on autopilot in a plane and switching that off, being like, okay, I'm actually going to think about every move and every decision I make from here on out, and I'm going to consciously make those choices for the direction that I'm going next. And it's about examining things as they come up, as you know that your default is what's comfortable, thinking, is this a good comfort zone or a bad comfort zone? Is this a comfort zone that's bad, but just keeping me alive? Okay, then I need to make a different choice so I can create a new comfort zone where I also am alive, but also am happy and thriving in my life. And another really important thing to know is that when you are facing conditions like ME/CFS or long COVID, when you are in a high stress state of mind, phase of your life, making that distinction between your good comfort zone and your bad comfort zone is even more challenging than normal, because when your fight or flight system in your body is enacted, it is on overdrive survival mode. So it is pushing you with everything it's got towards that comfort zone, whether it's good or bad. So have some grace with yourself, some self-compassion. If you're finding it extra challenging right now to determine what those decisions are and to make that change of stepping out of the known and into the unknown, it's perfectly normal. It's how your body is working right now. And just have some patience with the process. It's going to take time, and that's okay. Just know that this is what it's happening, or that this is what is happening. And when you understand that, it just helps you to navigate it more and just be a little bit more at peace with the process. Like, okay, here's what's going on here. Let's do this. And then the third is just making that choice. It's letting go of that known and stepping into the unknown, and knowing that you might feel a little resistance in that moment, and that's okay. I read recently an example of thinking about it this way. Like, let's say you get $100 a week. That's your salary, that's your whatever it is, but this is your money that you get. And it's been this way for years. And you've got a budget built around that $100. You've got a lot of memories around that $100. You've made it work. You've had to think about every dollar that you spend. It has not been easy. In fact, it's been really stressful most weeks, because $100 is really hard to live on in this day and age. But you do it, and it's where you're comfortable, and it's predictable. Next week you'll get 100. You know exactly what you're going to do with it. You know how it's going to go. But then you see the option. You're like, wait a minute. Option B over there is offering me $1,000 a week. I could make a change right now and start bringing in 1,000. And you're pretty sure, it seems like an easy assessment, that life will get better with that $1,000. It seems like a simple decision to make, but yet still it's stepping into the unknown, and you've got all that comfort and familiarity and memories around that $100, and you're going to have to let go of it. So if you can imagine it that way, when you're making a choice, just be like, all right, this is one of those moments. I need to let go of the 100 and reach for the 1,000. And the easiest way to deal with that discomfort in the moment, as you are moving from the comfort zone into the unknown, is actually just to stay in the present moment. Because when you're right here in the moment, there's typically nothing really to stress about. More than 99% of our worries exist sometime in the past or in some imagined future. The overwhelming majority of the things that are actually problematic and stressful for us aren't happening in this second right now with you and I. This second right now, you're okay, you're safe, you're fine. So if you can stay grounded in this moment, it can minimize or eliminate the discomfort that comes around the unknown of the future. And if you feel like you absolutely must, think about the futures, play out the scenarios. How could this change go if I make this new choice? What's that going to look like? Envision something good. Because here's the reality. It's all made up. Whether you're envisioning a bad outcome or a good outcome, you are making all of it up. It's all fiction. None of it is real. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future. So if you're going to make things up in your mind, they might as well be good things. So if you're currently facing long COVID or ME/CFS or something like this, and you want your next week or next month or next year to look different than what life does right now, it's going to involve letting go of that comfort and making some new choices, whether that's being open-minded to new science and new treatment paths, or deciding to let yourself feel your emotions and be okay with getting angry or having the full spectrum of emotions, letting your sadness out, taking moments to just acknowledge it and give it space. It's going to involve doing things differently than you've been doing them till today. And the great news is that only you have the power to make these changes. It's up to you when they happen, and only you can do it. And you alone are going to be the one to rewrite your future, which is really amazing. It's an empowering thing to know that, okay, I can do this. I've got control here. Let's get to it. And if you enjoyed this video, then I think you will also like this other one that I'll link here that shares another game-changing insight about how to navigate your way past symptoms, called The Golden Rule of CFS Recovery. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in this next video.